Oh my god. I got these lovely glasses. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel today. Today I'm coming with a story time because I wanted to entertain, you know, just some of the things that I've experienced in my life that I wonder, I'm like, has anyone else had this happen? Like, is this just me? Am I the dumbass in the room? Okay, so today I have a story time about the time that I was previously friends with an actual credit card scammer. Like an actual credit card scammer. Like, I'm Cameroonian, and if you don't know where that is, that's in Africa. Like, this person that I was friends with, she was also African. Like, she was an actual like credit card scammer. Like, she just, you know, really perpetuated that stereotype of scammers in Africa. Like, wow, thanks for that. So yeah. Okay, so for the duration of this video, I'm gonna call this person, we're gonna call her Happy. I don't really think she was a very happy person, but if you know who she is, you know. If you know, you know. Okay, so I met Happy when I was in college, and I actually met her through friends. And so I kind of already had known about her before because there was an app that was prevalent at my college called a rotor. If you went to Mizzou and you know what a rotor is, please comment down below. Be like, if you know, you know. Okay, so anyway, so she was on that app too. Actually, let me start over. A rotor was pretty much like Twitter, but for your specific school. So the guy who had founded it, he was from Mizzou, but the app was at so many different locations, and it was just like a raunchy, super raunchy X-rated Twitter for like your specific college. So anyways, so Happy, like I said, I had met her through friends, and then I had also seen that she had been posting like on this college app before, so I kind of was already a little bit familiar with her. So, you know, didn't really have any, I guess, negative thoughts about her, I guess I should say. So that's how I met that person. Wasn't like I literally picked her up off the street, okay? Like, you know, okay. So when I first met her, I thought she was like friendly, you know, she was a little eager and like a little bit of a people pleaser. And you know, I'm one of those people where when I can tell somebody's kind of a people pleaser or just kind of anxious, I'm always like, okay, it's okay, you can calm down, like, you know, chill out, like, it's just people, like, whatever. But, you know, regardless, I was like, okay, but she's nice and kind, like, you know, whatever. She was always like buying, you know, drinks or food for people, just that type of stuff. And you know, it was like, okay, thanks, but it was like, okay, like, whatever. So anyways, that's kind of what I thought of her at first when I met her, and you know, that was that. Okay, I will also say though that one thing that I did notice when I was friends with her, especially when I did first meet her, is I always did feel like she talked about like money like way too much. Like she'd always be like, oh, like I bought this expensive thing, or oh, like family back home is so rich, or just stuff like that. And I would just kind of be like, okay, like obviously she's, you know, insecure about something about that, and like again, like a bit of a people pleaser, and I'm just not like that. I'm like, dude, it's okay, like everyone comes from different walks of life, like calm down, it's okay. Like, I mean, I get if you're embarrassed, but you know, with me, you don't need to be embarrassed. So I noticed that she would talk about money a lot, but I just kind of tried to ignore it, or just, you know, it was just like, okay, like maybe it's just where she comes from, I don't know. So just to set the scene. When I met her, she was dating a guy at this time, and I think they were dating for not too long, maybe like 6 months or a year. Honestly, maybe like 6 months, but when I became like closer with her, like they'd probably been dating for about a year, and they had actually like moved in together. So I had noticed like little red flags, like I mentioned before, she would talk about money a lot. And she told me how she had a French grandma, or she told me she was like a quarter French. And I'm sorry, and I know how genetics work. The girl did not look like she had one bit of French in her. I'm just gonna say that, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay? So, but I wasn't gonna argue with her family history or her family background, because that's your family background, boo. Like, I'm not gonna be the one to tell you what you are or what you are not, you know? So yeah. So like I said, when I started becoming closer with this girl, her and her boyfriend, they had been dating for about a year, almost a year or so. And I remember one day I was over at her house. She had invited like me and like a few of her other friends. She liked to cook a lot. She was actually a really good cook, I'm not gonna lie. She liked to cook a lot. So she invited us over, and then I remember her boyfriend was mentioning that he thought that his mom was freaking out that Happy knew his social security number. Remember the exact conversation? He goes, yeah, like my mom thinks it's weird that Happy knows my social security number or whatever, you know, like we live together and stuff, like obviously we have bills together. And I remember when he was saying that, like she had this like sinister look on her face, and I was like, I don't know about that, chief, like I don't know, that kind of sus. But I think at this time I was like 19, and I never had a serious boyfriend, and definitely never had lived with a boyfriend or anything like that. So I was kind of like, I mean, I think it's weird that she does know your social security number, but I mean, I'm not the one to like tell you if it is or it isn't, you know? So I was just like, okay, like weird. Like it's just, you know, your guys' relationship, like, okay, like I'm not gonna come in here and tell you what is or isn't weird, you know? So all right. So they had just moved in together too whenever he was telling me about this, and allegedly she had moved out of her old apartment because one of her best friends at the time had apparently committed suicide. So she wanted to move out of the apartment, and then her boyfriend was like, yeah, like let's live together and stuff, you know? And of course I was sympathetic to that, like, oh yeah, of course, like that's tragic, like of course you want to move out of that apartment, that makes so much sense, you know, all that jazz. So during this time she had told me that like she was in school to be a teacher and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, I never seen her around on campus, but also the major that she was in, like I never would have seen her on campus or anything like that. Didn't really think too much of it. The school that I went to was a really big state school, so I was just like, okay, like whatever. But like I said, again, I did still just think there were just like little weird quirks that I was like, okay, red flag here, red flag there. Her boyfriend had graduated that end of the semester, so it was, what year was this? Probably like 2017. Yeah, her boyfriend had gotten a job in Kansas City, and so they were making plans to move to Kansas City together and the like and all that. So she was like, yeah, I'm gonna be doing my online schooling, or like my schooling online, and then I'll just be doing my practicum or internship, student teaching, whatever, in Kansas City or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, again, I don't know anything about her program, so, you know, whatever. I remember this one day, this like really was a really big red flag. She asked me to go shopping with her, and I was like, yeah, let's go shopping together. Okay. They were having a really big sale at Dillard's, like a really big shoe sale, and she was like, yeah, let's go. We go to the store, and then we go to the front to pay, and she pulls out her credit card and she goes to pay for her shoes, and the lady goes, ma'am, I need to see some ID with the credit card. And she's like, okay. And she's like, ma'am, I can't let you purchase these shoes because this isn't your credit card. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, like this isn't your credit card, so I can't allow you to purchase the shoes in the store. And she was like, yeah, it's my boyfriend's, like he allows me to use it. Again, like that's their personal finances. They live together, you know, she knows the social security. I don't know, that's not my business. Like, it was just really awkward though, and I'm standing there like, I don't, this is weird, this don't feel right. Like, okay. Lady's like, yeah, I just can't let you purchase these shoes because this is not your credit card. And she's like, it's my boyfriend's, he lets me use it all the time, I've never had an issue here, whatever. Then she goes, okay, I'm gonna call him right now and ask if it's okay. So she goes and calls him, and then he doesn't pick up. And if I'm being completely honest, I felt like she was lying about calling him. Like, she was calling him, she was doing it in front of us, but it just seemed really performative, really fake. Like, I didn't seem like she actually was calling him and on the phone with him. It just was really weird, and I was like, okay, like I don't, this is weird. Eventually she just ended up getting the shoes. Like there was such a long line, the cashier was like, whatever, like fine. And so she ended up getting the shoes and it was fine, and then we went on our merry way. But I did note that and I was like, that's weird. Again though, I don't know, that's none of my business, I don't know. Okay, fine. Like I said, her and her boyfriend, they were making plans to move to Kansas City because he had just graduated and gotten a job in KC. They lived together in Kansas City for about a year. Yeah, like about a year. And I would come and visit them sometimes. She'd be like, hey, you should come this weekend, like we can make food and grill and do this and that and the other. I'm like, yeah, of course. So, you know, whatever. So the next year, I remember she texted me. She's like, hey, like I'm coming home to see my family, because her family lived in the college town that I went to. She's like, I'm coming home to see my family, but my boyfriend, he can't come and take me back to KC, and I have a job interview like the next day. Like, can you come or take me back to KC for my job interview? And I was like, yeah, sure, like that's fine. She's like, oh, thank you so much. Like, oh, like, do you want to go out tonight? Like, I can buy you some drinks and food and da-da-da. And I was like, oh, dude, like, you don't need to do all that. Like, I'm just gonna help out a friend. Like, that's completely fine. Like, seriously, it's no big deal. And she was like, okay, like, thanks. I was like, honestly, just pay for my gas and like, it's good. And she was like, deal. So the next day I go and pick her up, and we're in the car, and she's telling me how she's like, yeah, me and my boyfriend, like we got in a fight, and like, I don't know, like he's really upset with me, and like all this stuff, you know, just relationship stuff, and saying something about like he wasn't understanding my culture, and I don't know, I just feel like he misunderstood just some stuff. And I was just like, okay, like, she's like, can you please talk to him for me? And I told her, I was like, I don't know, I kind of feel uncomfortable about that, like getting involved in your guys' business like that. Like, it doesn't really seem like my place. She's like, no, please, like, can you seriously just ask him? And I'm like, I don't know, like, it just feels uncomfortable. And she's like, no, it's no big deal. Like, I'm like, okay. So we get back to her apartment. He's sitting on the couch watching TV, and he like looks up at us, and like she walks in just like all quiet, goes to the room. I'm like, I can feel the tension. I could like cut it with a butcher's knife. I'm like, oh my God, like this is awkward as hell. Like, okay. I go over to him and I'm like, hey, Anthony, you know, how are ya? Like, it was so awkward, and I was just like, and then he just got up and left, and I was like, okay. She comes out of their bedroom and comes to the couch where I was sitting on, and she's just like, see, like he won't talk and this and that, and just that and the whole 9 yards. And I was like, I don't know, dude, like it's not my business, like talk to him, like whatever. Then over the next week, she would call me and text me about, you know, like he won't talk to me, he won't say this, he won't say that. And I'm like asking her, like, yo, like, you know, what happened in the fight? Like, cause she'd been kind of vague before. She kind of been vague, so I kind of didn't really understand like everything that was going on. And as she's like explaining some of the stuff to me, stuff just wasn't really making sense. Like, I was just like, I don't know, like this just sounds kind of weird. Like, I don't, like my intuition was just telling me that something was off and wrong, and I was like, I don't know, like, okay. He tells me all that, like, I'm like, I remember during this time I was actually taking a college class, summer class, and I, you know, had to get off the phone. I was like, hey, I gotta go because I got some homework that I need to do, and I was like, I'll talk to you later. And she's like, okay. So I get off the phone, and I was just feeling so weird about the conversation. Like, I was like, I don't know, this just isn't really sitting right with me. Like, this just is weird. I don't know. I was like, okay. I remember at this time, Instagram had rolled out this feature where you can archive your photos, okay? Instagram rolled it out, and I was like, oh, dope. Like, there's pictures I wanted to get rid of, but I didn't want to actually delete them. I can archive them. I have only one picture of us together, of Happy and I together on my Instagram, and I archive it, and then I was like, nah, I'll keep it up because it's the only picture of us together. And then I unarchive it, and then I go about my merry way, whatever. 2 hours later, my best friend's roommate messages me and goes, hey, do you know this girl? Like, how do you know this girl? I go, oh yeah, that's Happy. Like, I know her through like some people that I met, like at my, you know, at my college, whatever. And she was just like, this girl stole over $1,200 from my mom. What? Oh my God. So eventually we get on the phone and she tells me how Happy had somehow gotten her mom's credit card information like off of her phone or her laptop, or I don't even know, and had bought phones, food, drinks, clothes, so many different things, and like the total amount of money had accumulated to about $1,200. I was like, girl, what? And that's a whole nother story in itself. Oh my God. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. Okay, she had this breakup that's been happening, but for some reason, the story's just not adding up, and I don't know, like, it's just really weird to me, and I don't know. So I explained to her like some of the instances, some of those red flags, even the one where we went shopping together and like the credit card situation and the whole social security number thing. And I was like, oh yeah, like she told me that she had to move out of her apartment because like her best friend at the time had committed suicide in the apartment. And she goes, no, she would get kicked out of apartments because she wouldn't pay her rent and all this other stuff. I'm like, what? And there's more to that story too. I had said earlier, like I had been talking to Happy all week and she, you know, trying to console her. And like during that time, she had wanted me to talk to her boyfriend again and had given me his phone number to talk to him. But I didn't do it because I just felt uncomfortable. I'm telling my friend and I'm just like, yeah, she like gave me her boyfriend's phone number and I don't know, like she's like, you need to reach out to him. She's like, reach out to him because she probably did something really sketchy with him too. I was like, okay. I reach out to the boyfriend and I never really talked to this guy except through when I was with her because I wasn't really friends with him. I was only friends with her. So I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, Anthony, I'm not really sure what's going on right now. Happy has been telling me that you guys have broken up and stuff, but some stuff just isn't really making sense to me. And I just found out that she actually had stolen over $1,200 from one of my friend's moms. And he gets back to me, he's like, hey, you know, call me like in an hour or whatever. I'm like, oh no. So we get on the phone. This poor guy, oh my God, this poor guy, he tells me that she had opened up multiple credit cards in his name and ran down his credit score to like the 400s. He tells me how, yeah, she actually got kicked out of her apartment because she didn't pay the rent, and her other job at the time where she worked in an apartment, actually, she used some other tenants' co-signers information for that apartment because she had bad credit from not paying previous rent at other apartments. She got kicked out and had to move in with him. And she has stolen like so many, oh my gosh, like stolen like so much money from so many people. Like, oh my, like my friend who had told me that she stole over $1,200 from the mom. Like apparently she had opened up credit cards in her own parents' names. Just so much stuff. And I was in shock. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, all this stuff is making sense. I was like, she said that she was in school. He was like, she was not in school. Like she was not in school at all. Like she was lying about that. I go, she said she had a French grandma. He goes, no. Her family, they were refugees from Ivory Coast. And then like the person, like the people that like helped them when they moved here, like they're French and they call her grandma, but that's not her actual grandma. So I don't know why she says that she's French. A day that I had brought her back to KC that she allegedly had an interview. No, she didn't have an interview. He broke up with her, dropped her back off at her parents' house, and then manipulated me into taking her back to her boyfriend's. I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry that I did that. He's like, you didn't know. It's not your fault. She does that. And oh my gosh, I felt so bad for this man. I was like, you did nothing but care about her. He was like, you know, I just really try to stick through, and it just honestly hurts me those days when she would tell me like, oh babe, like you're so stressed out about this, like let me take care of you. And she was using credit cards that were in my name to buy me things, and I'm like, that's sick. Like, I'm so sorry. He was like, all that stuff. She would always talk about how her family was rich, like back in Africa, and like always had gifts and packages being sent to her. Those were all the credit cards that she was using. And he tells me, he's like, honestly, like, you should just check your bank accounts just to make sure that like she hasn't like somehow gotten your information or anything like that. And, you know, just make sure you're staying safe. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Thankfully, she didn't take my information, but I seriously felt so bad for this man. And then like also my friend's like mom, and she never even paid them back. Like, oh my gosh, it was a mess. There's so many more details. I'm just trying to sum it up. The girl is nuts. The girl is a genius. First of all, this girl is smart, okay? Like, this girl is a genius. Like, honestly, she needs to work for the FBI. Like, she needs to take her talent somewhere else instead of out here scamming people. This girl's crazy. The girl's crazy. So, anyways, then I reach out to her and I tell her, I know exactly what you did, and I don't ever want to speak to you again, and you don't have anything, there's nothing that you could ever say to me to convince me otherwise. She starts calling me multiple times, like trying to explain I wasn't having it. At some point, she even started threatening me and like that I was gonna get beat up or something. So I had to like stay with my friend for like a few days because I was worried that she would knew where I lived and stuff. I was really scared. The girl was crazy, and there's really no point to the story other than me just sharing that this girl was nuts. And anyone else have these experiences? Like, I feel like I have other crazy stories like this that's in my, I just know I have them and I could share them. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this, because I have a lot. I really do. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Vida Lee and my TikTok at Vida Lee. I'll put on the screen, and on my Twitter at Vida Val. I would love to see your faces. Make sure you comment down below. Have you ever had an encounter with a scammer? Have you ever had a shady friend? I don't know. Just some crazy shit. So let me know. I'd love to hear it. But anyways, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more stories like this. Bye.